Morning arrived quietly in Seabriar Village. The cobblestones sparkled with dew, and the air smelled a little like warm bread and salty sea wind. Near the lane, a notice post seemed to hum. The sound was so gentle it felt like a tickle in the air, and a soft glow curled around the twine. Luna found a little spiral seashell by the grass. When she lifted her lantern, the shell answered with a warm, golden shimmer. Kai hurried over with his tiny fox padding beside him. The fox's ears twitched, and both of them listened to the shell's tiny, musical hum. Luna showed Kai the shell, and the hum grew a little brighter. They noticed the sound seemed to lean toward the dunes, like a song trying to find its home. A trail of tiny sparkles floated along the lane. It moved slowly, like it wanted to be followed, and the wind chimes answered with quiet tink-tink sounds. Luna tucked the shell into a little cloth pouch. She held it carefully, as if it were a sleepy bird that needed warmth. Kai waved for the path ahead. His fox bounced along, paws tapping softly, ready for a small and friendly adventure. Together they left the village, step by step. The lantern swung slowly, and the pouch with the shell gave a tiny, happy hum. The path turned sandy and soft under their feet. Wild thyme brushed their ankles, and the air warmed as the sun climbed higher. Thistlepath Orchard opened wide and bright. Blossoms sprinkled the grass, and bees hummed like tiny, busy instruments. Luna and Kai stepped under the trees where sunlight made dancing spots. Petals drifted down, and the shell's hum blended with the bees. A ribbon fluttered on a branch, sparkling with little salt crystals. The glow specks floated beside it, pointing the way like friendly fireflies in daylight. Luna raised her lantern, and the ribbon shimmered even more. The shell in the pouch answered with a soft, musical trill. Kai hopped onto a stump to look ahead. His fox balanced beside him, and together they spotted a wooden walkway glinting beyond the trees. They passed a kindly scarecrow wearing a straw hat. The glowing specks drifted toward the orchard's edge, and the day felt warm and safe. At the gate, they stepped out of the sweet-smelling trees. The shell's hum stayed steady, like it was glad they kept going. A plank path led them toward a shiny marsh. Dragonflies zipped over puddles, and the reeds whispered in the breeze. Brineglass Marshwalk shimmered like a mirror. Sunlight flickered on the water, and little frogs sat still as buttons on lily pads. They walked onto the boardwalk, listening to the gentle creak-creak under their feet. The shell's hum sounded a bit watery now, as if it remembered the sea. In the water below, something bobbed in a slow swirl. A little tidewheel token peeked out, and the glow specks hovered over it like a gentle sign. Luna knelt down and used a reed like a tiny fishing pole. Slowly, carefully, she pulled the tidewheel token close without splashing. Kai and his fox leaned in to help. Water dripped from the token like tiny diamonds, and the fox gave a quick, pleased sniff. Luna held the token, and the glow specks circled it in a little dance. Then they floated onward, as if saying, "This way, please." Ahead, the marsh began to fade into sand. The light softened, and long shadows lay across the boards like quiet stripes. They stepped off the last plank and onto firmer ground. The token felt cool and damp in Luna's hand, and the shell hummed as if it recognized it. The trail turned into warm sand that slipped a little with each step. Far ahead, the ocean sounded closer, like a lullaby getting louder. Dunewhisper Dunes rose and fell like sleepy waves of sand. The afternoon light turned golden, and seabirds floated quietly above. They climbed to the top of a dune and looked out. The sea sparkled, and the shell's hum grew brighter inside the pouch. Luna felt the pouch tremble like a tiny drum. The shell seemed excited, sending out little curls of golden sound. Kai slid down the dune, and his fox bounded after him. Sand puffed up in soft clouds, and their tracks made zigzag lines behind them. In a sheltered hollow, they looked closely at the tidewheel token. Its carved spokes matched the shell's gentle rhythm, like two parts of one song. A sandy cut led down between rocks toward a hidden cove. The air tasted more salty now, and the waves sounded like a slow, steady clap. They picked their way over the rocks, moving slowly and safely. The lantern's glass caught the sun, and warm light flickered across the stones. Step by step, they left the dunes behind. The shell's hum led them downward, where the air turned cool with ocean mist. The rocks became glossy and wet, dotted with tiny tide pools. Somewhere ahead, a wooden creak sounded, like something trying to turn but couldn't. Tidewheel Cove glowed in soft orange light. A small wooden wheel sat beside a tide pool, and it looked tired, as if it had forgotten how to spin. They walked closer, listening to the water lap-lap against stone. The shell's hum turned wobbly, like a song with a missing note. The wheel was stuck with seaweed and twine. Each wave tried to push it, but it only shivered and sighed. Luna knelt and began to untangle the seaweed slowly. Her fingers moved softly, and the lantern made a cozy circle of light on the rocks. Kai pulled at the drift twine, and his little fox helped by holding the loose end. Together they freed it with a gentle pop, and the wheel wiggled a bit more. Luna placed the tidewheel token into a little slot at the center. Kai held the lantern steady, and the glow specks swirled like warm, happy dust. The wheel began to turn, slow at first, then smooth and steady. Water arced and sparkled, and the cove seemed to breathe with relief. Luna opened the pouch and lifted the shell into the warm air. The shell glowed brighter, as if it could finally hear the wheel's steady rhythm. Together they lowered the shell to the tide pool. The water kissed it softly, and ripples spread out in calm circles. A ribbon of light slid across the water toward the sea. The tide wheel turned like a patient clock, and the whole cove looked warmer and kinder. Luna's lantern shone softly beside them. Waterlight danced on its glass, and the glow specks settled down as if they were ready to rest. Kai watched the sea, and his fox leaned close, calm now. The wheels splashed gently, and the sky began to turn sleepy colors. The shell rested among smooth stones, humming its true, steady note. Luna picked up her lantern, and Kai nodded, ready to follow the shore home. They left the cove as the sun dipped lower. Behind them, the tidewheel kept turning, and the cove's song sounded complete. The beach grew quiet in the new twilight. The lantern made a warm circle on the sand, and the very first star blinked awake. Moonfoam Shore waited under a rising moon. The water wore a silver path, and the world sounded softer, as if it were whispering good night. They walked side by side, listening to the hush of waves. Their footprints followed behind like a quiet story written in sand. Along the tide line, sea glass glimmered like sleepy jewels. The foam fizzed softly, and the salt air felt cool and clean. Luna lifted her lantern and saw the last glow specks float up from the water. They rose like tiny wishes and disappeared into the stars. Kai's fox padded along more slowly now, as if its paws were getting drowsy. The moon made everything look calm and smooth. They turned away from the water and headed toward the village lights. The ocean's song stayed behind them, steady and whole. The lane home was quiet and starry. Sleeping flowers bowed along the fences, and the village lights glowed like warm little moons. Back in Seabriar Village, everything looked cozy and safe. Their lantern painted soft light on the stone walls as they passed quiet homes. Inside a snug cottage, warm light filled the room. A cup steamed gently, and the blanket looked fluffy and inviting. Luna set her lantern down where it could glow softly. The room felt warm, and the day's adventure began to feel like a gentle dream. Kai sat on a rug, and his fox curled up close like a little orange puff. They looked calm and cozy, ready for rest. Luna and Kai shared a warm sip and a small bite of bread. Their shoulders relaxed, and the quiet room held them like a soft hug. The lantern flame stayed steady and small. Outside, the stars watched over the village, and everything felt peaceful and still. Luna and Kai snuggled under the quilt, warm and safe. Their eyes grew heavy, and the last sounds of the day faded into quiet sleep.